Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Science Thursday, we're gonna talk about metal sanding. So let's dive right into it. Now first thing you have to understand, why the heck we have to sand metal, so to say. Well, metal processes generally, even if you are talking about casting metal, they will leave a very rough surface. Now for some scenario that may be desirable, for others it will not be. So in those sort of scenario, you want to polish the surface. Sanding will be helpful for that. Another aspect is rough metal, basically a metal that is rusted, a metal that has been cut freshly just right now. They are very unsafe. What does unsafe mean? Simply means your exposed human hands will get damaged if you use them. Basically, for example, I have this angle iron and I asked a shopkeeper, hey, give me 1 feet, three pieces of this. So he had a long feet and he's like, put a hammer and a chisel, bang. Okay, awesome, it does work, everything is fine and dandy. But here's the, if I put my finger on this, these are very sharp, and if I did that without looking, there is a 99% chance my hand will get a hospital visit. So these are what we classify as unsafe. Basically, you can't be like, no, I can do like this, but here's this cut edge. Yeah, it's very dangerous. And angle grinder, times more dangerous than that. For that reason, you have to quote unquote save the metal. So many times you will hear like, I'm gonna save this stuff. Saving simply means making it hand, basically something like you can carry in your hand without like, okay, these are the edge, like I have to carry it like this. Now safe, just to make it. And specifically if it's supposed to be used in human environment, basically it's somewhere where people are gonna access it, let's say a truck bed or something like that, it has to be saved because people can touch it. So rough metal is not safe. Another aspect, cutting with angle grinder, which is very common nowadays. You can understand they leave very brutal metal shards which you have to remove. Another aspect is sometimes you are not happy with the, let's say it's a rusted metal, let's say it's structurally strong enough, like it's a thick metal, it's like I got this rust, it will take me like 70-80 years of this rusting to damage me. But again, you may not be happy with the surface finish, so you still have to sand this puppy down, because you can't paint over it. If you paint over rust will fall off and your paint protection will be destroyed instantaneously. And even if you use plasma cutter, you will notice they leave a very sharp burr. And if you're like, hey, I'm gonna use laser cutter, here's the deal. Problem with laser cutter is it gives almost perfect 90 degree, which is a razor edge. So fundamentally you can understand this, it's not safe. So how the heck this logic work? Well, sandpaper, you will always hear about this. So generally we use something strong, something foundationally strong, and paper is not that strong. So most sandpaper, even if you something like this or paper like this, it will look like a paper, it will behave like a paper. They are generally not paper, they are kind of a fabric, so to say. And specifically strong ones which are made for machine tools, they are most of the times very high grade fibers. So you have to know they are generally made out of cloth type material. Then you use abrasive, because this is the small rocks that are gonna chip the material away over time, so to say. So what abrasives we use? There are hundreds of options, but two major ones are carborundum. Generally it's used in glass industry or machine tool industry, because these are very strong, they are like oomph. So if I can put this in angle grinder, go YOLO on it, this can handle this. And there is like more human rated one, which is aluminum oxide. Now be mindful, there are more than enough variations of this, more than enough combination, and you may find a paper that has like carborundum and you may find a disc that has aluminum oxide. That's not a guarantee. There are many options. And if you are serious about your work, if you are like, dude, I'm working on the stainless steel, this alloy is very specific, you have to know this, because some work with others very well, other times they will destroy each other. So generally you have your backing, strong backing, generally a cloth. Then you have your basically material which will do the main sanding, and then you have to bond this. Nowadays we simply rely on resin, because again, resin is only thing strong enough to to handle something this abusive. Then to handle it, like what the hell your sandpaper is gonna do, we employ a mathematical scale known as grit. Now grit is kind of weird because it's almost like aperture in photography. It's like smaller number means a rougher one and larger number means smooth. So if you think, okay, this is a 40 grit sandpaper, you initially will think, okay, it's a 40 grit sandpaper. But if somebody says this is 80 grit, you will always assume 80 grit would be more powerful, but the invert is true. So if you take 80 grit, you can remove a lot of material. You take basically let's say 150, it will remove less metal. So fundamentally it's invert. You have to always be mindful of that. So if somebody tells you like, hey, this is 60 disc, and you're like, okay, I'm happy with this work, but I want to polish this up more, don't buy 40, buy basically 100. So you have to always be mindful of that. 80 is rough, 120 is like medium, and 220 is like kind of soft. So, and you can even buy what we call basically Sanding papers, these are like water paper also called in some places. So you can have like, let's say for example, this is 220, and then bit smoother one, this is 320. Then you have, this is even the final, it's very smooth, it is around 400. Now you're like, why the heck it will go down? But here's the thing, most of the time if you want to go to mirror finish, then only you need to do this. If you are just polishing the metal, like, okay, this is a rough metal, let's make it usable, presentable, 200 is more than good enough. By that point you are like, you're good. But if you are like, okay, this is a car, I'm gonna polish this puppy up, at that point people are like, let's keep going up. Like you can go as high as like 1500 or 3000 sometimes. And if you are working with high precision optics industry, specifically laser fiber that are used for cutting purposes, they can go 8000, 10,000, 20,000 or things of that nature. So again, this number does go bonkers, but for common day-to-day application, you will not rarely go below 40 and rarely go above basically to 20. If you're working with metal on a rough level, it's like if you want to polish it, go bonkers, go YOLO on it. But that's the whole idea. And please be mindful of this. This number has generally a tendency to trip people up. It's like, what? Wait a minute. 300 is a smoother and 200 is a rougher. So be mindful of this. Now, what's the logic behind it? The multiple grids that we have is generally used for different purposes. For example, if I took this metal, basically this metal that is a cut piece, it's not safe. And if I try to use, let's say, water paper that is like, this is 400, the water paper is gonna tear up. So for different purpose, we have different grids. That's why there are so many grids. Another aspect is making metal safe. Generally, you will, give metal pass with this kind of flap disc. Rust and paint removal, depending on your material type, will define how you're gonna operate that puppy. So all these things, preparation for polishing is necessary and has to be done by sanding. And you will always go step by step. So you'll be like, okay, let's start with 32. Let's then go to 80. Then you go to 150. You will never go like, okay, let's say you have 80, you got your rough edges safe, and then you're like, okay, let's put 200. You will never do that. You will go step by step. It is necessary. Progressive grades are always used. The reason for that is 80, for example, will remove a lot of material, but it will still leave a rough surface. Now that rough surface will be smoothed down a little bit by 100. Then you go even smaller, 120. Even smaller if you do 180. Now the reason you don't jump from 80 to 180 is simply because if you did that, the paper will tear, because it the peaks and valleys will be too rough for 180 to handle. For this reason, we always go step by step. Now again, you don't have to be like, okay, 80, 100, 120. Depending on your application, people generally go through 3 steps. Generally, it's always advised, don't go below 3 steps. If till your final product, generally go 3 steps, because you can in principle go from directly 80 grit to 180 grit. Problem would be like you have to wear down paper a lot. So you can do that. Now progressive grid, it goes depending on your application, it will have very large range. For example, telescope mirrors, they take a very serious steps as like, okay, grid number 80, grid number 82, yes, grid number 90, grid number 95. Like this has been done with mirrors. And sometimes you will hear people say like it takes 7 years to polish a mirror. This is the reason. So fundamentally, you will always go step by step from coarse to fine. So you will start with rough, you'll get the major ding dongs off, and once you're done, then you'll start to reach a mirror finish brick by using a smaller stuff. And then the step, the power, every aspect of it depend on your work and material. For example, if you are just buffing out a, let's say, a car chassis, you will not touch 80 grit, especially if you with an angle grinder, simply because if you put even a little bit of pressure, you're just gonna go through sheet metal because the metal is very thin. But if you're working with this puppy, basically, let's say angle iron, you try that with like 180 at first pass, it's like, bro, I don't even care. So to make angle iron manageable, for example, to polish it, like at least it look like a metal. Like these are coming from the same stock. So to make this, I use that flapping wheel in my angle grinder. Now again, I'm not a professional. There are people who can make this puppy into a shining mirror polish. I am not that one of those. So fundamentally, that's the logic behind it. That's why you will have always different stuffs and different grids. And that's the reason why you have different logic applied for different, even though numbers could be the same. Now, what about the tools? Now, there are many tools, and you have one tool with yourself, which is called elbow grease. So if you are determined enough, you can take a stainless steel and make it into a mirror polish, just using your hand. It's just gonna take a lot of time. Now, given the fact that we value time, we generally use power tools. So first power tool, the amazing angle grinder. So you can take an angle grinder, add a flap wheel, and off to the races. You can take care of some serious stuff with using this puppy. So this is step one. This is what you will be most familiar with. And if you are a bit unsatisfied with how aggressive these puppies are, generally they are at like 80 grit. If you're lucky, you can find 100 grit, but generally they are very abrasive, so to say. And if you want to do like something gentle, so you can find what we call sander attachment. So these attachment will allow you to use mount normal orbital sanders pads, so to say, and those pads will go down in much lower grit, so to say. So they can easily start from 100, 200, 300, 400. Those are available for that. Angle grinder flap disc is generally not for those kind of mass production wise. There are there, but they are not available easily in the market. So generally people go for orbital sander. If you are like, okay, I did my rough pass, I made the object, I made it safe, I got this, then you will remove your angle grinder and then you're gonna utilize what we call orbital sander. Now if you have to shape a metal, if you're like, okay, this is my metal, but I have to give a radius to it, curve it or something like that, you will use belt sander. The reason for this is how the logic works of this puppy. Basically large surface grinding away, it removes a lot of material very quickly. So these are generally used for 80 grits or 90 grits, but it can take care of serious stuff. Basically you take a metal, done, go home. These are very powerful tools. So if you're serious about metal working, this will be the second or third tool you're gonna buy, because this is very powerful. And then you have disc sander, which are rarely used for metal working, but a very serious statement in woodworking, so to say. Now tools have the ability to allow you to make more tools. Basically if you have one tool, you can make another tool with using that tool, and then you can keep expanding a whole workshop out of that. Now belt sander at this point in time is very important, and fundamentally everybody wants to buy this, but the cost is like nope. So fundamentally there is a lot of DIY option in YouTube. Like there is almost a race going on that every YouTuber maker space, they are building amazing belt grinders, sometimes surprisingly cheap, basically using an angle grinder and they're making a belt grinder. Sometimes they are going on such a pro level that there are belt grinders specifically built for specific tasks. For example, knife making, sword making. If those sort of things are interest you, there are belt grinders that are amazingly fine-tuned just for that. There are belt grinders that are like using go-kart wheels. They are like bonkers powerful. If you're like, hey, I'm only working with thick, raw, solid material stocks, belt grinder of that caliber will like, bro, I got this. So fundamentally there is a lot of DIY option, and those are fundamentally, if you do it right, will be beat out any basically belt grinder you can buy in a shop. So there is a lot of option, and this will allow you to make a final pass on objects much more effectively, quickly than any handheld options. So people do invest in this, because you may be like, hey, I'm gonna spend so much time. The output that you're gonna get on your final product will be worth it. So this was my presentation on basically sanding, metal sanding. I hope you liked it, learn from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment, because I try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.